Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Today is Sunday, February 22nd, 2026. Well, 1 week from now, it'll be March. So here we are, the last week of the month. Also, this is the last day of week 4. Tomorrow we start week 1. We start over again. We start process over again, where we're trying to answer 2 simple questions. So today we're going to wrap it all up. We're going to revisit the 4 weeks, where we started, where we are, where we go from here. On this crisp Sunday morning. And then church flirch at 7:40, something like that. Have to be there at 7:30. Okay, so let's get started. Go to our worksheet. Advice from an 80-year-old today is be a good loser. Be a good loser, as Ace Ventura might say. Be a good loser. Why? Well, we'll find out about that in a second. Seth Godin, should you keep playing your hit song? It depends. We'll find out about that. And our TED Talk for today is David Foster Wallace's famous Kenyon College speech, "This is Water." And that's a fitting way to end the 4-week program. And perhaps for people to start off week 1. Okay, what else is happening? Okay, let's go back to it. Why be a good loser? There's a very simple, practical reason why you should be a good loser. So that people will play with you again. And we often learn more when we lose, right? If we're always winning, don't really learn that much. When we're losing, we have the opportunity to learn. What did we do wrong? What do we need to do differently, etc., etc. So, so the pragmatic, practical reason to be a good loser is just simply so that people will play with you again. And if you're a very good loser, the people who beat you are going to see it as a teaching experience. They're going to see it as a teaching experience. And they too learn when that happens, because you have the Navy SEAL. One way of Navy SEAL training is do one, learn one, teach one. So when you're on the doing one, that's kind of when you're losing. You're learning how to do it. Someone is saying, okay, do this, do this, do this. If you're playing chess with someone and you're losing, you or the other person is better than you, you're learning. They're doing something, you're doing something, and you're using it to learn. And when you play someone equal to you or lower, now you're doing the learn one, do one, teach one. Oops, sorry. Let's fix that in editing. So the first one is somebody's teaching you what to do. Then you're doing it yourself. Then you're teaching other people. Learn one, do one, teach one. So on the learn one stage, someone is showing you how to do it. On the do one stage, you're just doing it yourself. And the teach one, you are now doing it. Aha, good morning. What not a bevy. How are you today? How are things? How are things? Tell me about that. Well, okay. So she's like blessed, like St. Paul saying, get this thorn in my side, this pesky, bothersome thorn in my side, this pain in my side, but I'm happy for it. Is that the kind of bless that you have? Things are blessed. Things are on blast. Okay. Next. LOL, yes. Aha. I have a pain in my back, my ribs. Okay, very interesting. Next. Okay, be a good loser. Take your medicine. You're in the penalty box. Say, well, I don't like it, but it's going to be a learning experience. I'm not going to talk my way out of this. I'm not going to be the silver-tongued devil. Right. Right. Be a good loser. Now, with Trump, I think it can go the opposite way. It's like, if he loses, it's going to be all hell is going to break loose. So let's let him win. Type of thing. But again, people still don't want to play with you. They'll only do it if they have no choice. It's better to be a good loser so people will want to play with you. Also, if you're taking it as a learning experience as opposed to a me against them experience, you will do better too. It will be better for you also. All right, let's look at what Seth Godin has to say before we go back to This Is Water. Should you keep playing your hit song? It depends. A freelancer, a brand, a musician, they're here to serve. If people come to the restaurant for your famous marinara sauce, if new clients hire you to architect your signature style home, or they want to dance to your top 40 hit, that's what you're here for. Brands shouldn't change their logo or their offerings when they get bored. They should do it when the accountant gets bored. Unless you're an artist who doesn't want to become a cover band of their former self. Right. Unless you use the frontier as fuel for creating more value in the long run. Unless you're no longer proud of what you used to do. That hit is a gift from your former self. Like all gifts, you don't have to accept it. In addition to sunk costs, there are sunk benefits. Just because an asset belongs to you doesn't mean you have to use it. Right. Just because an asset belongs to you doesn't mean you have to use it. Okay, should you keep playing your hit song? It depends. That's what we learned in law school. The very first year, probably the first week, first month, I don't remember, but the answer to most questions is it depends. And usually back in those days, back 36 years ago, it depended upon the facts and the rules, the objective standards. We have an objective set of rules that apply to everyone, and here are the facts. We take the facts, we apply them to the rules, and here's what comes out the other side. Restorative justice is more of what's the harm done and how do we fix it? How do we remove the harm? The facts, well, the facts are the facts. And they could be completely independent of what is the harm done or how do we remove the harm done. The rules, well, those are too objective. We need to customize it. One size fits one. One size fits one. So there are no rules. There are only guidelines. There are only things to help us. And we will be guided by the consensus of caring people. So if caring people come together and there is consensus, we will find the right result. And of course, there's a lot of problems with that, right? Because people are emotional creatures. We make a decision today that we might not make tomorrow. Same set of facts. Because we're emotional, we rank things differently. Okay, what does that tell us? Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Let's see, what else is happening with what's the weather like in Fort Jacks? What not a bevy? And as we do that, let us talk about David Foster Wallace. Let us talk about our themo for today. This is water. He's talking about our default setting, the way we look at the world based upon our view of the world that we are the center of the universe. So everything happens to us, for us. Anything that contacts me is coming into my universe, my reality, my perception of reality. So David Foster Wallace talks about that, and the takeaway, a major takeaway, is to understand that, just to understand the concept. This is water. Well, this is my default setting. This is the lens, to use restorative justice words. This is the lens from which I see the world, from my own perspective. There is no objective right or wrong. It's my perception of it. And I can choose to adopt the norm of what I've been socialized to believe. I can choose to do that, or I can choose to not. But my default setting is how I just view the world from the perspective, from the starting point of everything revolves around me. That's the default setting. That is the water. And David Foster Wallace says the value of a good education is you can decide to not do that. You can take on the perspective of the person you're observing. So he gives an example of being in a grocery store, and he's talking about all the different people, the cashier, the dead-eyed cashier who speaks in a very, I'm going to say, haunting way. The mother yelling at her kid, etc. We can view them from our perspective. How can people be so dumb and yet live? Or we can adopt their perspective, that the woman who's yelling at her kid's husband is dying of cancer, or she works at the DMV during the day and did an unnecessary favor to someone out of kindness. And right now she's very frazzled. And you've got that shopping cart with the one wheel that pulls maddeningly to the left, and the soulless music on the radio, on the playing in the supermarket, etc., etc. We can choose to step outside of our default setting and adopt something else. And the key is it's our choice. And the value of a good education is having the ability to do that. We might call that empathy and compassion. He ends, so like the third part of his speech is talking about Here's something you also need to get. We all worship something. It's part of our default setting. We all worship something. It could be JC, Yahweh, the Wiccan mother god. Could be something like that. Or it could be something like money, fame, looks. Whatever it is we worship, we'll always feel we don't have enough of it. So if you worship money, you'll feel you never have enough. If you worship looks, you'll die 1,000 times before you're planted in the ground. If you favor fame, you'll always feel you don't have enough. And the value of a good education is to be able to step outside that, to have discernment. Right, discernment. That should be the talk of another thing. Discernment. And discernment when you have the aid of someone else to help you through it, through the process, is very valuable, because as emotional creatures, we can talk ourselves into almost anything. All right, we've got about 4 minutes left. Let's talk about wrapping it up. Where did we start? Where are we now? Where should we be able to go? Okay, so we started with the idea of trying to figure out accepting the premise, accepting the belief that if I know who I am and I know why I act the way I do, then I can better navigate through the world. If I know who I am from a nuts and bolts, from a cellular level, from the level of I'm a living entity, I'm a living creature that has a brain, that has emotions, that has a spirit. If I understand how that works and why it responds as it does in certain circumstances, then I have the ability to dial in who I need to be right now. And it should be that if I can understand it, now it's not a mystery. It might be a mystery of why it does it that way. Understand, like the remote on the TV. I do that and the TV changes channels. I don't need to know exactly how it does it, but I get an idea that there's electronics in here, there's something in here, and there's something over there, and this sends a signal to that, and that responds. Just like I have a thought in my head, I turn that thought into sound waves that go through the air and in your ears that get processed in your brain, and you feel the same thing I feel. How does that work on a simplistic level compared to actually how it works? Just to the level of understanding, I have the ability to have a thought, turn it into words, turn it into sound waves that travel through the air, land in somebody else's ears, and then the thing gets reversed. They then feel what I feel, or vice versa. I can hear and or see, taste, touch, smell. I can do that with someone else. I can have sound waves go into my ears, that get converted and release chemicals in my body that make me feel a certain way, just from sound waves traveling through the air going into my ears, or things I see. I see something, it goes in through my eyes, gets processed in my brain, and it makes me feel something. So my feelings are affected by what my senses perceive. And if I get that, then I can decide to choose what I see, what I hear, and or give different meaning to it. Oh, you're just trying to get me upset. Something happens, I take a step back and say, oh, you're just trying to get me upset, as opposed to just getting upset. Right. Okay, well, we're going to end it tomorrow. We start over with day 1. So that, we're going to say, and cut.